Thanks so much. All right. This ain't no Love Jones twist. There will be no incense lit. You won't be able to snap to this, clap to this without getting fat from this. Raise a black fist while wearing coffee house black to this. Push your ego back for this because we're running out of time. This ain't no Afro-jiggy meeting of the minds. No dreadlock rasta jazzercise. No art beyond the people peeking through elite peepholes. Close my confidential preferential treatment equals. I fit the stereotype, so I got a right to be on the mic. Type entitlement. Feel yourself in silence. Shh. I wrote for so long that I wonder where the title went. Took the last of vital wind and spoke to Mother Nature's heartbeat, praying that the Lord would part me like the Red Sea and allow my intentions to pass through to safety. If I am not worthy, then take me. And if I can't sleep for dreaming, don't bother to wake me, because poetry is not a luxury. So until it blends with the wind, every breath is cutting me deep to the core of my mustard seed. Can't catch up, so instead I bleed. And sometimes I feel like a childless mother. See, my rhymes died in the arms of its lover, so I run for cover and give birth to stillborn thoughts while everyone around me is choosing to abort, and everyone before them just wanted to get off with no intention of raising consciousness to the power of black abstract thoughts made into real. Say, I got some heat on my sheets and I'm not here to wordplay. A verse tucked into my skirt and I'm ready to spray, and if you fall fast, I'll do my broadcast on a 5-second delay. Forget the iron, I'ma strike while the material's hot. Blow your mind in one shot with some flow on the rocks. Yo, I sharpshoot on mute like I'm trained by the cops. I stop watches and shot clocks. Raise chakras like livestock. Text fiend with the dream I've been meaning to detox, cause you can't elevate with no time. So I shot time from the sky so it could no longer fly, and it fell with a thud, a little dirt in its eye, and time wasn't all with its jaw open. The earth stands still while I make revolutions around the sun till my feet are that of black oak, and revolutions become revelations as I relate the sensations of the souls of black folk. I worked the spine until the back broke. My book cried for mercy, said I abused my right to custody. I said, this is the life you were born into, only soldiers in this cavalry. Poetry is not a luxury, so until it blends with the wind is, and I'll be that poet with a slow start, because I don't want to be clever with no heart. Don't want to be in the spotlight with no sight. Don't want to be on the front lines with no fight. Because while many gain applause and haven't even earned it, so few understand the importance of being earnest. My spirit burns like a furnace, and my mind, soul, body melt into one. Migrate towards the rays, and I'll stay behind to scatter the sun. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. How y'all feeling? Feeling good? Now, listen, they told you I was a teacher. I do participation. How's everybody feeling? Good? All right, we are up this morning. So when I first thought about this talk on roots, my mind immediately went to there we go. Okay, Roots by Alex Haley, right? So Jerry, you were thinking the Roots band, I was thinking the book. Either way, my story starts with family. Oh, there we go. Okay. These are my roots, right? Literally chewing on a leaf, young Nina, my big sister Mia, right? My roots start with family. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. And I grew up there, and then I moved into Philadelphia. I'll tell you a little more about that in just a moment. So these are just pictures of my girls growing up, 3 the hard way, 3 the easy way. That is my mom, my sister, my mom Kalata, my sister Mia, and then me in a much skinnier phase there. These are the glamour girls, my cousins. We used to have sleepovers on a weekly basis. We rotated to different places. As you can see, the glow up is real. Just let's get past puberty and things get a little bit better. This is actually just last week, and I thought you would enjoy. I'm really very much a family person, so we all went up to Greensboro, North Carolina, to celebrate my Aunt Carlene's 70th birthday. We did karaoke for 3 hours straight. And wine was in abundance, right? And my sister and my family is just very supportive. So this is an actual Instagram post that she made when my book came out. And my sister and my mother were actually my first investors when it came to starting to put out my book. All right. So I want to tell you, I've gotten a lot of advice from people in my family, and I've learned a lot growing up. Put your best foot forward, always do the right thing. My mother in particular, who's in the middle here, and then her grandmother had tons of advice. So my talk is dedicated to my mother today. She would give me all kinds of advice like, let's see, always put God first, take a sweater with you in case you get cold, always have mad money so you'll never be at anyone's mercy. So like you always have agency, and never leave the house without earrings. All right, this is me. I started writing poetry at age 9. It was a safe haven for me. We would go to the library on weekly trips. We'd read all the books before we got home. Literacy was a big part of my foundation very early. So the next step naturally for me was writing and expressing myself. So I've been writing since a very young age. And then I started to teach. I started teaching theater at the age of 16. And then I began my career in activism around the age of 18. So anybody doing any math, I've actually been teaching for over 20 years, which is odd because clearly I'm only about 36. Since arriving in 2001, I've worked with almost every arts and culture organization in Philadelphia in some capacity, and I've advocated, performed, or taught around the country, and in some cases the world, really depending on that. I believe that art can change lives. And today I'm going to tell you about a handful of tried and true lessons that I have found grounded me in my career and allowed me to stay green, establish new roots, and grow no matter what. So here are my anecdotes, such as don't leave the house without earrings. All right, the first one. Associating your worth with winning is a setup. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Okay, so to give you a little background, my grades have always been stellar. Yes, I'm that kid. I didn't see a D until college. I didn't know what it was. I felt some type of way when I did. I wasn't just the teacher's pet. I was the principal's pet. I was moving around, representing with a full-on Moravia Park primary sash. And I also did something called dramatic reading contests. And so I would pick out a Shel Silverstein poem, usually from Where the Sidewalk Ends, and I would rehearse it with the teacher, and I would win every year in a row. I always got the best parts. I was Mrs. Claus. I was the head witch. I was doing this from an early age, guys. Winning was my thing, right? Until one year, I actually didn't win the dramatic reading contest. Ooh. And everyone I remember kept coming up to me, oh my goodness, you must be devastated. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, actually. I was very surprised at how I was able to accept a presumed loss. But a teacher came up to me, and teachers have been a really important piece of my life in general, and said, hey, I really believe in you. There's this program at Baltimore School for the Arts. It's called Twigs, to work in gaining skills. I think you should audition for it. And with that belief from that teacher, I auditioned and I was accepted to Twigs, right? Then I came to another crossroads in 8th grade. I could either go to a normal high school where I got a football team and a band and all the good regular stuff they feed you in the movies, or I could go to this hotel in the middle of the city, an old hotel in the middle of the city, and just put my freak flag high and just claim who I was. So I actually decided to lean in. I auditioned, and I was one of 17 out of over 400 applicants that made up the theater department in the class of 2001. And so there I am, leaning all the way in to that theater purpose, a little Fosse happening there. Those are some of my ensemble members. We'd be doing warm-ups and things of that sort every single day, and then we'd move right into rehearsing, running lines, learning about classical theater, working on accents and things of that sort that they train you out of, and also things that you can learn for yourself. And so we would go to different restaurants and play around with our accents. So I stuck with it. And that is the entire graduating class. That's every single department class of 2001. And I continued to move through those different stages, but I also didn't see the roles that I wanted to play. So yeah, we got some great roles with a local theater. I was one of I was a witch again, actually, in the, the Crucible. And there were other roles here and there, but I really didn't see the roles that I wanted to see happening. I applied early decision to NYU, got accepted, but the winds of change took me somewhere else, right? Ended up at Temple University, And from being at Temple University, I took up film and African American studies. So I said to myself, okay, if I'm gonna be here at Temple, I'm gonna write those stories. I'm already a writer, let me learn. I was an English major at first. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, yeah, English, writing, I can write scripts through English. Became a film major with a focus on writing, and I know a little bit about white balance and things of that sort. And then a lot of my papers were around film and African American studies combined, right? The images of people of color in the media. So that activism spirit grew for me because I wanted to play the roles that I saw, and I loved Amanda. Amanda was my girl, but she was the ingenue. They told me there are types, and this is your type, and that's their type. And I didn't want those boxes. So still setting out to do that, I continue to move forward. Next, the best recipes, sometimes you have to get in the kitchen. So the best recipes are unwritten. Sometimes you have to get in the kitchen. What do I mean by that? You need to access your community, right? So getting in the mix, getting that experience, meeting and networking people has been my real lifeblood here in Philadelphia. And through that, I've met a number of people. We started a collective called the Spoken Soul Collective, and we were at World Cafe Live. We finished out actually 8 years, but that's our anniversary flyer right there. So we really used those connections to move ourselves forward. And we didn't get paid. We tried to pay the people that came through, but it was really a service to the community, right? Speaking of service, I have a service spirit, right? There is a giving that comes with service that you can't describe the feeling. When I say that you think you're doing something good for someone else, but really you're the one that benefits from learning new perspectives, deepening your understanding about yourself. And I went and worked at a school called Youth Build. Anybody familiar with Youth Build here? So Youth Build is a school for aging out youth, grade ages 18 to 21, I think. And during this time, I was still doing my poetry, still doing my art, but service is what has grounded my entire career and brought me inexplicable opportunities. So this is us in Guatemala. We went to Guatemala. We took a group of students, and we were there for 10 days doing a number of different service projects. That's the entire team. We broke a water ski. We had a blast. We learned lots of different things there as well. But I want to re-emphasize the importance of humility. No matter how big you think you get, you're never too big to serve. And that was one of my most important lessons, and it also yielded some of my greatest opportunities. So I was volunteering one year for the Black Lily Film and Music Festival. Anybody familiar with that? Okay, awesome. It happened to be at the Beloved Painted Bride that year, and I decided to serve. I was performing around. People knew who I was, but I like to serve. I like to be in a space to offer help to others. So I'm standing by the door, greeting people, and there's this woman outside, and she's got a table of shirts, and she keeps putting this irregular shirt back in and putting it back out and in. So I'm also very observant. I had no idea who this woman was. You may not know who she is either, right? Turns out she's the founder of an organization called Black Girls Rock. And I gave this woman my elevator pitch. I said, hey, I'm a poet, I do this, I love kids, women and girls, boom, boom, boom. I was ready, right? I was prepared. And by being in service, I was able to be put in proximity with her. We exchanged information. She says, I want you to come work for me. And from there, I became the first director of her Black Girls Rock Queens Camp for Leadership and Excellence. Girls from Africa, girls from Europe, girls from Japan, all girls of color coming together to learn about themselves, to be inspired, and to just become great leaders. I continue to direct and teach creative writing with Black Girls Rock, and we continue to grow into Black Girls Lead Conference, which takes place at Barnard every year now, and we continue to have an international pull with those girls. All right, so the spirit of community continued to move me forward. Service is a big part of my talk because it's the thing that has really moved my career forward. Service and teaching. So I met with a group called the Amber Arts Collective. I met a guy named Keir Johnston, a really amazing artist, and Arnell Martinez. He said, hey, this is through networking and community. Nina, you want to come, do some poetry on the wall? This is how he talks. You have to meet him. He's fantastic. He's brilliant. Right? And I said, sure. He says, well, We're doing this mural on a playground of a young lady that passed away to gun violence. You know, is there something that you can share? And I said, absolutely. And so this was my very first mural through Amber Arts, but subsequently, of course, Mural Arts. And this is in South Philadelphia, I want to say on 17th and Catherine. And it's called Liberation Manifesto. And so everything I write to inspire. It's always in service and always to help others or to be a mantra or reminder to myself. That actually led to us winning an RFP for something called the Porch Light Initiative. And through that service, we worked with Yale University and Project Home to study how art actually does change lives, right? So we conducted over 30 workshops, and we worked with the youth and the adults of Project Home to get their words down, right? There was one woman, I'll never forget her. She was actually learning to read at the age of 45. So I had her dictate her poems to me, and I promised her that it would be reflected on the final mural. So this is the ribbon cutting in North Philadelphia. So this is my second mural. And a really great detail about this is the day we opened up, is that the work here by Kieran Ernell are all from found objects in the neighborhood. These are beer cans, the oranges, Cheeto cans. This is all from trash in the neighborhood that they made into art. And so if you look, you can actually decode, even though one side of the mural is a poem and the other side is all images, these are all poems. So there's a color code that goes along with it, where if you stood there long enough, you could get multiple poems just by engaging with the work in that way. Okay. All right, next. Integrity, consistency, and a strong work ethic can take you further than being connected. Does anybody know who this guy is on stage, out on the screen? Yeah? Yassine Bey, right? He goes by Yassine Bey now. I really wanted to make sure I said that. I try to respect people's name changes, you know. So I remember when I did this show with Mos Def at Amherst, and so many people were like, how did you get that? How did you get that? Be consistent, whether it's 3 people or 3,000 people. There happened to be someone in the audience who had seen me perform multiple locations, and he knew that whether there was a handful of people or a full stadium, they got the same energy, they got the same level of performance, commitment, dedication. And he came up to me and he says, hey, how would you like to do a show with Mos Def? And it turned into a really great opportunity. I hosted the entire event. I rapped on stage for the first time, and it was a wonderful, wonderful event. So one of the lessons I've taken away here is give the same energy no matter what. For me, if you're an artist through and through. It's not about who's responding, how many people are clapping, but what really is coming from your soul. My next piece of advice is to keep your word, all right? So while I was networking here in Philadelphia, I met a man named Mike Dennis of Real Black, R-E-E-L Black, right? And I was really tired one day, and he's always trying to get people to come out to these screenings. He's like, come out to the screenings at the Comcast Center, there's a new filmmaker, da-da-da-da-da. And this is something my mother taught me, to keep my word. If I don't have my word, I don't have anything. So I rallied, and I found my best gold scarf, and I made my way over to the Comcast Center. And it was 2011 at the time. I want to give you some context. And lo and behold, I step off the elevator, and it's Ava DuVernay. This is when I met Ava in 2011. And this is all from keeping my word, right? This is in the Comcast Center. We connected right away. We exchanged information, and I just kind of put her in the vision board of my life mentally. We stayed in touch over time, just very lightly. And then actually a colleague of mine said, hey, there's an opportunity within the organization. At the time, it was called AFIRM, the African American Film Festival Releasing Movement. It's now called Array. But we released a series of films by women, independent filmmakers, people of that kind, because again, reinforcing my purpose. Women, girls of color, women, people of color, girls, right? Disadvantaged communities. It was all in line with my mission statement. And so I know that we were meant to meet. So the position was to become the Philadelphia Maverick captain. So we came up with this name together. We were like, Maverick, Maven, let's figure it out. So we liked Maverick, which is pretty much our word for volunteer. And so I took my little cart up to the flying carpet at the time, which was on the corner of 20th and Parrish. And I had posters, and I was like, we're going to do this. Now, I always like to joke that Ava set me in the middle of the desert with like 4 pieces of, wood and like 3 nails and said, go. but I love challenges like that. If I am aligned with my purpose, that's all you need to give me. I am ready to go. And so through that work, Philadelphia kind of became the example, a flagship, if you will. And so I got promoted to national captain. So I was coordinating the releases nationally. I was galvanizing and getting people excited about films. We were planning different ways to bring people into the theaters, because at the time we were releasing in actual theaters. And we also did community screenings. So we try to get the proper food that would go along with the theme, and we would do special marketing and strategy for those types of things. So this is from the old website, but I always keep my receipts. So that is me. And then this is us at Urban World, another African-American film festival where Ava was speaking, but these are actually Mavericks from all across the country that came to New York to hear Ava speak. So it was just beautiful to see the movement grow. And now Array is doing a number of amazing things. They're releasing films on a regular, and now they're on Netflix, which is fantastic. Okay, so my next to last point is that everything evolves. Step into your fullness. I told you that this talk was dedicated to my mom, whom I love dearly. I am such a mama's girl now that I think about it. So my mother is 69. And a couple of years ago, she's read thousands and thousands of books her entire life. A couple of years ago, she decided to write her life story. So she started writing a book. But at age 48, she decided that she wanted to become a bodybuilder, all right? So my mom's whole life, she used canned goods, and she used gallons of water to work out. It was something that was always in her spirit. But then she was like, I want to be a bodybuilder. So she wouldn't come up off the picture for y'all today. Okay. However, she won silver and bronze in her category for all natural bodybuilding. And she was like smaller and more toned than I was in high school. I've seen my mother do amazing things and reinvent herself over and over and over again, which made me think about branching out. So a lot of people know me as a poet, but about 7 to 8 years back, I actually started curating. And I was really lucky because one of my largest and first was at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I did a series of First Fridays and Pay What You Wish Wednesdays, where I was able to, again, give back, offer the opportunity to other artists, where I was given a budget and I had my pick of artists. I was now the guy that was in the audience saying, who does the same work, whether 3 or 3,000, getting them an opportunity to get paid what they deserve and to give a phenomenal show in a major institution. Also continued performing myself, and then even recently, this is a Disruption series that I was asked to curate at the African American Museum. I've done things at the Barnes, I've done things at other museums, and it's weird because I think when I look back at my life, the different tiers, there's always community, and that has been where the seeds are and the roots are for me, right? There's the first tier, and then there's the next tier and the next tier. Less of a hierarchy, more of a actual tree, right? And so I continue to do that work, and I thought to myself, okay, let's get free. Let's try to reinvent. Let's try something new. So I wrote a book. It's called The Precursor. This is the first of 7 installments in a series that I'm doing called Spectrum of a Supernova. That next project is coming out this year. It's called Mantras for the Modern Day Mentalist, where I'll try my hand at some hip hop as well as some poetry, and it'll be an audio experience. I also became an ambassador for Philadelphia. I started doing voiceover work. I traveled a little bit and performed around there. Oh, wait. I came out. That was pretty cool. Let's clap it up for coming out. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it was a secret to that many people, but owning my fullness really moved me forward into the next step. It actually allowed this woman, Theo Tyson, to offer me an opportunity at Spelman Museum for a South African artist, Zanelli Maholi, Hail the Dark Lioness. It was making its U.S. premiere in the fall before last. And they asked me to come in and write a response to the work that was being exhibited. And I was trying to write. And I had some kind of divine intervention once I got there, and I actually saw the work. And I wrote a poem the night before. And it resulted in being The Reclamation. It was called The Reclamation. It's about identity, self, place, belonging, all of those things. And we continue to grow. I've got a lot of things on the horizon. I'm excited to try new things. I am always growing. I am always looking forward to the next thing. And I continue to grow. Keep growing. Thank you.